Everybody keeps asking if we're back. Yeah, I'm thinking we're back. Welcome back to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. On this episode, our news roundup leads into reviews of Nobody and Invincible, and our topic this week is why do we love lone wolf assassins? Let's get on with the show. My name is Aaron Peterson, and joining me today are my fellow host, John Davenport.
Hey, Aaron, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. You should be more excited because it's Godzilla week.
It is Godzilla week. I can't wait.
Okay, that's a little better. Amanda,
what's the other noise? Rawr and what's the other? Well, Kong's got to have a noise. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Maybe I'm picking sides.
Hello.
Let's try this again. Amanda? Sink?
Hello.
Hang on. Your full name. Amanda Sink?
Hello.
Okay. Whew, we got that out.
Hello.
I don't think we've done a regular episode in a few weeks, right? We did like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then we did South by, which John didn't have to partake in 4 hours of movies.
Yeah, that was nice. Thanks for that.
Did you listen to it?
Listen to what?
Did you listen to the South by episode?
There was a South by episode?
We love your support. Please continue.
I pay the show $1 a month.
There are a lot of people who are more supportive than you, it seems.
He's here every week. That's pretty supportive.
Yeah.
That counts.
I like doing the bare minimum.
I appreciate that.
I show up.
Too many people are trying too hard to go to the top. John's like, you know what? Yeah. I'm gonna scrape the bottom.
I'm just gonna show up.
He does the picture too. So that's significant.
Oh, somebody forgot to ask me to do the picture today.
Yeah. So if it's like Bob Odenkirk, I didn't do that. He didn't do that picture.
Yeah.
But Bob did that one.
Bob himself.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Or Saul. It's weird seeing Saul beat somebody's ass. But anyway, we'll get there. You know what? We got a news roundup.
That's who he is. Oh my God.
Are you kidding me right now?
Really?
Wow.
You're on a movie podcast, Amanda. Don't you have a minor degree in film?
Don't you absolutely love Breaking Bad?
I do. I just could not in this movie. I could not place his face, but I was like, God, I really recognize this guy from somewhere.
There's IMDb. You could hit it up as soon as it's over. Where did I see him from? Probably Breaking Bad.
What is happening right now? How did you miss that was Bob Odenkirk?
I don't even know. I knew his name. I guess I just never connected. I didn't connect the dots till right now live while we were recording this podcast, which is very unfortunate for me. Yeah.
He was just random dude. He was a random martial art. He was Steven Seagal's protege, and they just found him waiting in the wings.
No, I knew I recognized him, but I just didn't place his face. And it just, I was like, man, he's really familiar. They did a nice job with this guy.
He does have a face that's hard to place, to be fair.
I think his face is very distinctive, honestly. It's how could you miss this Bob? It's the same freaking face.
John, you guys kind of look alike to me.
That's fine.
Did you think it was John? Because that would be amazing.
That would be great.
That's why John was off this past week, because he had his movie premiere.
Right. I had to go talk to people and be like, hey, I'm also on Better Call Saul.
What'd you guys think of a movie? That's what you should do. You should start walking around and see if anybody actually buys. You should tell people you're Bob Odenkirk and see how long it takes before someone believes you.
Yeah.
Just take your glasses off.
Bob Odenkirk, how you doing?
No, you leave them on. See, that's where it throws people. Oh, with the glasses, I couldn't tell. I mean, yeah, I know, right? I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Superman, but different.
This is just taking a weird turn. Let's go to our news roundup. So Sony and PlayStation Productions are developing Ghost of Tsushima, which is a video game that the PS4 had.
Woo!
And John Wick's Chad Stahelski is going to direct it. National Treasure's getting a TV series, but don't get excited because Nick Cage has got nothing to do with it. But it's going to be on Disney Plus, following new younger characters. I don't want younger characters. I want Nick Cage. Regardless. Sputnik is a really great Russian sci-fi film that you can now watch on Hulu. Go find it. And because Americans can't read, Hollywood already has a remake in the works so that you can see the American version. Death on the Nile, by the way, has been pushed to 2022 amid Armie Hammer's sexual misconduct investigation. But they're saying it has nothing to do with that at all. Right. Right, Disney. Right. American Gods has been officially canceled by Starz, but there might just be a TV movie to conclude this series for fans, so that's pretty awesome if you're a fan of that. And Godzilla vs. Kong director Adam Wingard, who we've been raving about on this show for years before he got all fancy with Godzilla vs. Kong, has been tapped to direct Thundercats. Ho! Of all of that, what's got you the most excited, John? If excited works for you as a description.
Well, absolutely. The Adam Wingard doing Thundercats, that's freaking unbelievably amazing.
Ho! You can't say Thundercats without finishing. Ho!
I'm sure I can, but okay. So
you shouldn't.
I just think this whole idea is amazing. I was just thinking a few weeks ago that it'd be great to see some sort of Thundercats movie, but then I got lost in this whole idea of how would they do that in a way that would be easy to buy, because cat people, like I don't see people wanting to see a movie about cat people, but I guess I'm wrong. I guess it's totally going to work out this way.
No, we had a movie about cat people and people didn't want to see it. It was proven at the box office. And then we watched. Remember we watched it?
It was proven on our podcast.
Yeah, and we watched it for Patreon, and it was freaking terrifying. So as long as they don't do it that way, I think maybe it's doable. I trust in Adam Wingard, but it does make me nervous. I'm not going to lie.
It makes me a little nervous, although I wonder if he's going to give us cat butthole like we should have had with cats.
It's required at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Thundercats, hole!
Wow. Amanda, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to move off of this topic completely
give
now.
Me a second. I'm laughing at my own joke.
So I'm really excited about this Ghost of Tsushima news with Chad Stahelski at the helm. Not only because he's a talented director, I think we all know that, but him coming from a stunt performer background and how awesome he is with directing and choreographing those brutal fight scenes, I think is going to be great for Ghost of Tsushima, as long as it remains like authentic and everything. And hopefully this will be the video game adaptation that changes everything about video game adaptation movies, because they're usually awful.
I love this game. Absolutely love it.
It's very so beautiful.
It's very faithful to Japanese culture. It's very, I don't know. It just doesn't feel overly westernized. It actually feels like Japanese culture, and it brought to life in a way, even though it is a video game format. And, the actual story that the lead character goes through, I think is really fabulous. I played this one all the way to the end. I never finished video games, but it has a beautiful ending. And I really hope they stick to the entire story that's told in the game, because that could be fantastic with the action scenes like you're talking about.
I don't know anything about this, but I'm excited for you guys.
Well, and you like action movies, and who doesn't like Chad? So there's that.
It's basically about a samurai who was an apprentice with someone who was brought down by this dynasty leader who's the Mongols are basically laying siege to Japan, and they're just taking over every area. And he becomes known as the Ghost of Tsushima. He starts using less than honorable ways so that he can win this war. And it puts him a little bit against his own uncle and whatnot as the story goes. And it just becomes this very fascinating tale of, I don't know, honor, dishonor. What really does it take to win a war? Can you win a war with honor? I mean, there's a lot of really important questions, I think, in that story. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah. I probably described something wrong. Some gamer right now is like, you forgot the really important point.
That it happens in the future.
You went so Batman.
Here's the question I've got. So the Armie Hammer thing, I'm not going to wade into the waters of what he did or didn't do. That's not what I want to ask. Because of the fact that he's got sexual misconduct going on right now and an investigation, should they, for the movie's sake, reshoot his scenes? They did that when Kevin Spacey had his issues. Should they do that so that the movie doesn't suffer, or do they leave him in and chance it? What say y'all?
It's a risky play either way.
Yeah, either way, but it also depends on how much of the movie he's in. If he's in it from beginning to end, as if a supporting character that follows Puro around, that'll be difficult to do. But if he's just in a scene or two, then I can see them making that work. But it's risky either way.
I think what's also important to consider is if they envision and hope for some sort of a sequel or another where his character could potentially continue, they're probably going to want to eventually replace him at this point based on what's going on. And he's already been dropped from everything. So unless something drastically changes, they'd probably have to change the actor anyway if they continued this with another movie or TV show or, you know, whatever they might do. So I think that's important for them to consider too, because one of the things that is the most annoying is getting one actor to play somebody and then in the sequel or something following, they just change the actor and it's like, you guys didn't notice that, right?
Well, that won't be a problem here. You've obviously never read Agatha Christie.
I have not read this, no.
Okay, well, the stories they go, you're only following Kenneth Branagh's character. That's it. Everybody else, it's always a new ensemble in every story. So they just got to get through this one movie, Death on the Nile. It was kind of just like Mystery, or just like Murder on the Orient Express, same concept. None of those characters are coming back except for Kenneth Branagh that I'm aware of. So if they recast him, it would only be for this particular film. And that's why I just thought, you know, I mean, if I had $100 million on the line and I could shoot his scenes relatively within like a week or two, I don't know how big his role is because I haven't read that one in so many years. I honestly don't remember how important his character is in that one.
IMDb has him second to the top, so I don't know if that means anything.
It probably makes it more difficult. I'm sure. But this is, I can't imagine the press will get better by February of 2022. That's not
his
that
character is obviously very tightly connected to Gal Gadot's character as well. So that might pose some complexities too, because if they have to reshoot his scenes, then they're going to have to potentially reshoot scenes that she's in with him and based on her schedule and everything else. So just
green screen it. Do it Fast 9 style or Fast 8 style or whatever, where they're just in separate rooms. You could do that. You could do that. Do it the Rock and Vin way.
You know, the grown-up way.
Exactly, like adults. Well, you know what? Remember, you can always find more information at thehollywoodoutsiders.com. You can join our Facebook group or on Twitter at BuyPopcorn. Tell us your thoughts on this episode or other episodes. And next week, our episode will actually drop a little earlier than usual because Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rawr. And there, are you happy? I covered both.
I mean, I'm still voting for Godzilla to obviously win this war, but I just feel like we should have both voices.
You know, equal representation. I understand.
Yes, exactly.
I'm voting for Kong. We should probably call it right now.
Are you really?
I'm voting for Kong. Underdog. Yeah, I'm going for Rocky.
No. I don't mean to laugh at your opinion.
Right.
But Godzilla, I don't want to say anything about my thoughts because I knew a little bit and then got spoiled a little bit, so now I know too much.
Okay, but you're pulling for Godzilla.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling for.
And John, you were pulling for Godzilla before Kong ever entered the picture.
Yeah, of course. And I already made my prediction as to what was going to happen on this in this movie, if you guys remember.
I do.
I don't.
Well, don't pay attention to it. But if you want, you can go back and listen to the fact that I made my prediction, and I've been spoiled to a little bit of it because you can't miss it anywhere.
Oh, now I remember.
Yep.
And I'm still mad at you for that. That's right, because I didn't know anything about that, and you kind of ruined that for me. So thanks for bringing that up.
To be fair, everybody has ruined it. If you don't know what we're talking about, like I feel like we're kind of being vague, but really we're not, because the internet has told this story.
Yeah, the internet really. This is one of those things where they put it out. It's gonna be a nice big secret. I make my prediction. I'm thinking I'm gonna be all right, and then every single YouTube channel has it's like in the contact of everything. It's annoying, but I'm still awesome. Also, it's a monkey versus a radioactive lizard. Come on.
I have faith in the monkey. He's got big arms. Works out. He's jacked.
Radioactive.
Jacked. Dude, the only thing bigger than that monkey is the Rock. So I think the monkey's got a shot. All right. Let's go to reviews. We've got 2 reviews.
Oh, and also Godzilla's bigger than the monkey.
Let's not get into the specifics, all right? You're spoiling things. Oh,
now. We don't want to compare sizes now? Since when, gentlemen?
All of a sudden, you're like, see, it's bigger. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. So much bigger. And you're like, oh, well, like I wasn't really meaning that. And I don't know why we had to go this far with it. But like, I'm so sorry that we actually went down this turn,
And yours has the unfair advantage because it has like laser breath or whatever. So it's got like chlamydia. I don't know, but I don't like it.
What?
I don't like the odds. Let's go to reviews. We got 2 of them. First one is Invincible, which I think all of us saw, but John, you're going to lead the review. I'm going to lead the review. You're going to review. Based on Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman's comic, Invincible is an animated series on Amazon Prime right now that revolves around Mark, whose dad is Nolan Grayson, a.k.a. Omni-Man, and Mark grows up wanting nothing more than to be a superhero like his daddy. Well, his powers finally kick in and it's off to the races, but does he have what it takes? And at the same time, a new unseen foe waits in the wings to take on all the superheroes of the globe. Featuring the voice talents of Oscar nominee Stephen Yeun. I just like the sound of saying that he's an Oscar nominee. Oscar winner J.K. Simmons. Emmy winner Sandra Oh. You see where I'm going with this? The cast is pretty stacked. Zazie Beetz, Walton Goggins, Jillian Jacobs, Jason Mantzoukas, and Zachary Quinto. It is stacked.
Seth Rogen.
Ah,
well, he's
jinx.
A producer.
Mark Hamill as well.
Sure.
No, he's in it.
Okay.
Clancy Brown.
Okay. Can I get to the questions in the review, please?
I'm sorry. I'm making sure that everyone understands how awesome this cast is.
All right. John, do you consider it a ripoff or an homage that every character in Invincible is completely a take on an existing character in Marvel or DC Comics?
I consider it neither. It's more so along the lines of there's only so many powers out there you can give somebody, so to make it as close as possible to something else, but a little bit off to the left is bound to happen every now and again. So yeah, I don't really consider it either.
Does it bother you that so many of them are basically plays on characters you know and love?
No, I actually like it. I actually like the fact that they're plays on characters that I know and love, and I like what happens to some of them, so it's great. All
right, so I want to ask you because you're an artist. So the animation style, I honestly felt it was pretty milquetoast or Saturday morning cartoon to me. Now that might be what they're going for. I didn't read the comic. I don't know if that's how they were going for it in the comics. So do you like the animation style here, or do you wish they would have gone a little deeper and more, I don't know, DC animation style, I guess?
This has a lot of the similarities to some of that DC animation style that we've seen out there, so that's fine. And as far as like the actual presentation that we're seeing, it looks like what they took is they took the artwork from the comic and just pushed it just enough more to make it a more living thing. Because the comics is very well drawn, but done in a simple manner, just like the show kind of is. And I like the aesthetic to it a lot. It's beautifully drawn, it's beautifully illustrated, and as far as this animation goes, I love a lot of the small little things that they throw in there. So instead of Mark flying when he does finally fly, instead of him flying like straight forward like in the Superman pose, it's more like he is kind of resting in the air in a way, and instead of him just like yeah, he kind of guides himself, and when he wants to make a turn, instead of just turning, he actually stops himself, changes direction, and then goes in that direction. And the way the whole body motion's pretty interesting and fun. So yeah, I'm really actually happy with the way this animation style works.
So without giving away the twist, and there's a really big hook for the show in the first episode. I won't say where or what anything like that. We're not going to talk about that. But what are your overall thoughts on the show? So far, the first 3 episodes, I mean, they're going to drop weekly on Fridays, so there's 8 episodes total for the first season. But right now, you've seen 3 episodes. What do you think of Invincible?
This is actually a story of Robert Kirkman's that I am so interested in seeing. If you liked Walking Dead and you like what happened to the characters in Walking Dead, then you're going to like this sort of story. It's a little bit darker, but at the same time, it has the ability of going very light and very fun. And as far as just this story in general, it takes everything you know about comics and kind of challenges you in your thinking. And it's actually engaging and different and just a good watch.
All right. Now I saw it because you recommended it to me and I said no. And then you said, just trust me, just get to the first episode and then you'll see where you are. And I still said, no. But I eventually did because you don't kind of push too often on recommendations. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Because everybody that listens to this show, I don't really like cartoons. I'm not a big animation fan, unless it's some movies like Pixar and some other movies. I mean, it's not like I hate it. It's just stuff I'd rather watch. Once I finally got through the first one, I was finally interested in the story. I didn't care about the story until I got through the first episode. then I became very interested. And I don't love it yet, but I do think that it's a much more adult version of stuff that we're familiar with in terms of superhero lore. It's kind of a play on the cliches to a degree, and it's a little bit unpredictable in that way, which I like, because it's not the same thing every week. You're not just saving the world every week and nothing changes. There's a little bit of a CW aesthetic to his love life, to Mark's love life, and I could do without that. But the overall arc of the story is actually very interesting. And I'll actually come back and watch the episodes as they air, which I would never do for most animated shows. So that's a compliment.
That's great. That first episode caught me completely off guard because I don't have any background in these comics, but when I was watching it, I'm like, okay, this is great. This is your usual, kid gets powers, decides he wants to be a superhero, and then the twist. I was actually up and moving around my house doing something when all of a sudden I saw the twist come up, and I was like, what's this? And then I sat down, and because it happens after the credits, and that's when I couldn't stop watching.
Well, remember that part when I said I wasn't going to tell you when? Well, he just ruined that. John has a problem. Amanda, you also saw this show. What did you think of Invincible overall?
When it comes to the animation style, it's very, like you said, Saturday morning cartoony, and that's not... It used to be at my alley, but it's not anymore. But I will say that it's pretty bloody and gory. I was surprised by that. And it still had some fun elements to it. It's something that I would, have in the background or something. I can't say that I would fully invest myself in the show on my own. But it is still a good show as long as you're into the cartoon animation style.
All right, John, you get to wrap it up. If $10 is full price of admission, what do you give Invincible?
I gave it $7.
Wow, you really enjoyed it. All right.
I did really enjoy it.
I'd be more around the 6 area, I think. I'm a big fan of, on shows like this, I want to see how it plays out, because that hook is so pivotal to how everything else is going to play out. I really need to see how it lands, in that first season. That's really a big point, but it's enough to keep me watching for sure.
So next up is Nobody. It's Better Call Saul's Bob Odenkirk stars as Hutch Mansell, who fails to defend himself or his family when 2 thieves break into his suburban home one night. The aftermath of the incident soon strikes a match on his long-simmering rage. In a barrage of fists, gunfire, and squealing tires, Hutch must now save his wife and son from a dangerous adversary and ensure that he will never be underestimated again. Now, Aaron, you and I saw this. We both had a good consensus coming out of it. And I did want to share something. It's actually based on an idea by Bob Odenkirk, who dealt with a home invasion himself by trapping the trespassers in the basement.
Oh.
And he was frustrated with how the authorities dealt with the situation and had thought about how he would take the matter into his own hands if he was, quote unquote, a badass.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is, does Odenkirk's Hutch feel like an any man? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, an everyman, sure. Tom Hanks.
An everyman. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. And also kudos on having Better Call Saul in your notes, but somehow still didn't make the connection. I'll just...
What?
No, I added it.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was coming from the get-go. Yeah, I was... And okay, here's the honest to God's truth. And probably many people are going to feel this way. I saw the trailer. I laughed out loud. I'm like, Bob Odenkirk? Because I knew who he was, Amanda. I'm like, Bob Odenkirk, the guy from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and a lot of other comedic things that you probably might not know of. He's going to be a badass, really? I just thought it was going to be very tongue-in-cheek and kind of cheesy when we sat down for it. My God, was I wrong. He won me over roughly by the midpoint. Because, I mean, it's kind of a slow... I don't want to say slow burn. That turns people off. It's not a slow-moving burn. It's just a slow build up to him unleashing his real ass kickery, where it's about a half hour in before you really get to see him whoop somebody's ass, because at the forefront, there's a home invasion in his house and he kind of lets the guy go. You find out why as the movie progresses. I mean, he's really trying to restrain himself, but he unleashes more and more as the movie goes. And yeah, he came across as a great everyman, because every time he's just being a normal guy, he nails it. Even the the lameness of going to work every day. I mean, he even nails that, that death of your soul. I just think he's got that in the eyes. It reminds me of when you saw Wanted, how McAvoy kind of captured that life sucks vibe.
Yeah.
Except I think Odenkirk is much more in line with everyday working men today. He's a very average look. There's nothing movie star about him. He's a great actor, but an average looking guy. And that he pulled it off. Yeah, it's a long answer to your question, but he 100% pulled it off.
I also feel like the methods in which he beats ass feel a little bit more everyman.
Honest.
In terms of, like, it's not just, okay, I'm super talented with my fists and a gun. It's, I'll use whatever I have to beat your ass and kill you. You're like, he's creative, I'll say.
I have often said, where I grew up, fights were common. It happened a lot. And so whenever I see fights in a movie, I'm just like, well, that's really choreographed. Because it's just not how people fight in the street. Mm-hmm. They just don't. You use the hood of a car. You use a pipe. You use a glass, but whatever you have handy. Because the odds, what you're trying to accomplish is a win. Not so much looking pretty when it's over. You just don't care how it looks. It's never sexy. I've never seen a fight look sexy, ever. And I've seen a lot of them. Never have I seen a fight look sexy. Keanu Reeves makes it look sexy because he's beautifully choreographed. That's one thing I love about this movie is the director, Ilya Nashuler, he did a wonderful job of making sure that the action was choreographed so that it felt visceral and real. And, when he's taking on a multitude of guys, he's in confined quarters, which does make it a little easier in some respects if you have some experience, I would imagine. And he's also taking bad hits because, bad calculations, because you didn't count on this guy grabbing that thing or that guy doing that thing. So, I mean, I thought it was very genuine for the majority of the movie until the end turns into just insanity. But yes, felt very real, genuine.
So Tyler Witt is Odenkirk's stunt double who's done stunts for Black Panther, Endgame, and Baby Driver.
Oh, cool.
How did the stunt choreography and performances look for you? I think you touched on it a little bit, but anything else you want to say about it?
Well, it starts very hand-to-hand and then kind of builds into guns. And I think when people love to compare this movie already, they're just saying it's John Wick with Bob Odenkirk, who everybody else knows who he is. You're not going to forget that anytime soon. He is a different kind of fight. I think they really did a good job of changing his style. And David Leitch is a producer on this, and I could tell his style just from... I thought he was the director when I first saw the movie. I didn't look at the cast and whatnot. And he's actually a producer, but you can tell. And he's a stuntman at heart, and he's got a very specific style. It's very, very real, very gritty. But they do a very good job of changing up his approach as he goes. I mean, he kind of has a similar concept, which is he comes at you full force. And he's not always thinking too far. Like, he's reacting. I think John Wick is very forward thinking. Like, he glides, and it's also very fluid and almost balletic, where this Hutch is 100% just rough and tumble. I mean, he's just like a grunge fighter. He's messy. It's messy, but it's fun. And the kills are so just bloody and wrong and uncomfortable. And I like it a lot. And his dad is Christopher Lloyd, so you get to see Doc whooping some ass too. That's fun.
Yeah. So you mentioned Ilya Nashuler is the director, same director who did Hardcore Henry. Mm-hmm. And my question is, because Hardcore Henry was one that was, despite what you felt about it, very creative and different. And did you feel like nobody fit within that unique category? Or is this more run-of-the-mill action? Like, do you see Ilya Nashuler doing a lot more and progressing career-wise and doing bigger, better things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In uniqueness.
I liked Hardcore Henry a lot, so I was actually pleasantly surprised to hear that. Yeah, I definitely can see him leading the charge in action in the future. Very much like David Leitch has and Chad Stahelski has, since they did the John Wick movie. So it's a director who's definitely on the rise in terms of action, and the set pieces are great. And you can tell it's a low budget movie, but it doesn't feel low budget ever. It feels like just a balls to the wall
for sure
action flick.
Yeah. So if the full price of admission for Nobody were $10, what would you give it?
I give it $7.50.
Same.
Yeah.
I would totally watch more of these.
I would. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I need a sequel, but I would definitely watch a sequel.
Yeah, I'd still watch it. Or if they could just somehow create like a sequel to it, but with a different family or something. You know
so a different movie.
Well, but like still...
like a different Nobody.
Yeah.
Like some other
like Charles Grodin or somebody like that.
Because there's other nobodies. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
And the actor that plays Julian, who's the bad guy, he's kind of fun to watch throughout the
the
movie. I gotta say, how old is Christopher Lloyd at this point? He was Doc.
He's like 92, isn't he? I thought he was pretty
35 years
old.
ago, he looked 80. I don't understand how he's still around. He's still actually functioning pretty well. So good for him, Fountain of Youth drinker. Hey, our show is independently funded on Patreon. Therefore, all the expenses are from our own pockets. And Patreon helps fans support their favorite podcasts. Once you sign up, you get immediate access to all content in your respective tier. We just did a Bad Movie Night episode for Batman vs. Superman. We talk about murder and a lot of other things. And also, we have a bonus episode every month where we talk about stuff we wouldn't normally talk about on the show. In fact, we're going to answer listener questions or supporter questions. Only Patreon supporters questions on that. Now, if you want to support the show, you can go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/The Hollywood Outsider. That's patreon.com/The Hollywood Outsider. Thank you so much for those that contribute, and we're looking forward to the ones that want to. Now let's go to our From the Outside In topic. Lone wolf assassin movies. Now these are movies where one person, man or woman, doesn't matter, is either exacting revenge by slaughtering a bunch of evildoers in fantastic ways, or just does it because they love it. I think John Wick is probably the most tossed about example for this. It's a genre that's been around for decades, yet always seems to disappear for a year or two until someone, most recently John Wick, now Nobody, brings it storming back to popularity. But many films exist like this, including Death Wish, the Bourne films, Peppermint, Taken, Wanted, Leon the Professional. So what is it about someone murdering scores of thugs all on their own that keeps audiences like us coming back to the fold over and over and over again?
Yeah, this is one of those things that is pretty easy to answer. It's not a hard thing to sit there and imagine. People actually want to be that person who, in situations in which they feel helpless, feel lost, or feel out of control, that they can suddenly take control and live a life like this, where they are the masters of their own destiny, and they are going to be able to save the day, and they're going to be able to just exact whatever kind of revenge they have. So that moment's the moment in which, like, you get cut off by someone, and then that person flicks you off in the rearview mirror or whatever, and you just sit there and start getting angry. Those are the kind of moments that people experience that this sort of movie speaks to.
Yeah, I think people want to be a badass. Like at the core, isn't that kind of what it's all about? Like, I wish I could be this cool and get paid to do it. Honestly, I wish that I could, go through, get a gun, never have any concerns about finding ammunition, how much ammunition is left in my weapon,
point.
Like how hard my face gets hit. It doesn't even faze me. I just get back up and keep on doing it. And to get a list, like if you have your own list, if you're like a revenge hit list sort of thing, we've all thought about that. John gave some good examples, but we all have our own list. So hypothetically, of course.
Yeah, no,
so
I often
be cool.
I often say if you have a spouse or a friend or a relative, or you have a job, or you work for people, or people work for you, at some point, somewhere, someone's wanted to beat your ass horribly. And probably more people than just you. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think most of us have been unable to defend ourselves in some situation. It could be just words, it could be some kid was slamming you against the locker in school, or maybe it's just somebody who outranks you in some way or has too much power, so you can't really you can't stand up to him for some reason, or, you just feel threatened for whatever reason. And you wish you could do more about it. I think most people just want to see people get back at people that treat other people like garbage and do it in a really entertaining way.
Sometimes it's not even about if the person is bad or not. Sometimes we're like, ooh, you're a bad villain, but I'm still going to root for you anyway. Like, as long as the person wasn't a perfect hero, like you couldn't just watch somebody assassinate the Avengers or something, because then that would destroy our hearts. But like general human nature, nobody's perfect. Everybody's done something flawed. So it's like, I get it. They have those feelings. You get their backstory and understand why they're motivated or something. And then you support them.
And it's usually...
Like, I get it.
It's usually revenge, or it's because you came after me, you killed my dog. You know, it's something along those. There's always a reason that you can justify in your mind. Like, personally, me... I think it's funny that most people are like, yeah, John Wick, they all had it coming. And I'm like, he killed a dog. I mean, he killed like 47 people.
I get it.
I don't know if they all had it coming. They didn't all touch that dog. One guy did.
You contributed. John and I feel like are on the same path. If you come for our dogs.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. You know, come for my dog, I'm going to close the door on your head is what's going to happen. That car door closing on the head if you come after my goddamn dog. I'll freaking...
Really, John's just going to shut the door really hard and be like, man, dick.
That's my dog.
And I think it's important to know that in a movie, it just never seems real. It's always so over the top. It's very choreographed. You know, it never really feels real. And because they're typically bad guys. Like, it's not like they're killing innocent people, because that would be a totally different movie. And I feel like it would set a different tone. These are very creatively gruesome kinds of assassinations. And it's people you want to see, you know, assassinated. And
see, that's the thing, though, is it's always fun. They get, if they're a good action film, they're going to get creative with the method of action and the method of kills and the music, everything else that'll get people in the audience going, yeah, what? Like, those reactions are the best reactions.
I do think it's important to ask this question, though. Do you think it's troublesome that we love these movies so much when the real world is full of some truly awful people doing some truly awful things? I don't want to wade into things going on in the world, but I mean, it's an honest question. Do you think it's troublesome that we love these kinds of movies?
No, not necessarily. I think this is one of those things that help us express those feelings in a more constructive way versus in a way that is less constructive, as some people have taken to. So I think this is actually more therapeutic than anything else, because it gives us an outlet, or it gives us a way to express those feelings.
Shit, covered that. All right. Well, there we go.
It's hard to blame media and entertainment for anything. Of course, there's always a level of influence, but quite honestly, I feel like the vast majority of the people who are going to watch these movies are not incited to commit violence or rage when they leave the theater. It's cathartic.
Absolutely. And it's a way to live vicariously through another character, to be that tough, resilient, flexible, and cool. You know, to wish you could do those things. And there's sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes it is like wish fulfillment, because you watch a movie like Taken. You know, I'm a dad. I can't tell you how many parents I would talk to about me like, if it was my kid, I would do the same thing. And you know they couldn't. I'm like, man, you barely wanted to go talk to the neighbor about them, you know, throwing shit in your yard. You're going to tell me you're going to be on an ass-kicking crusade through Europe? I don't think that's going to happen. But you get it. You get the feeling like it's a way to like John said, it's therapeutic.
Absolutely. Because, you know, you can't always go after that neighbor who throws shit in your yard, but you can pretend to.
Exactly. You know what you should do? Is you should probably just watch outside John Wick 1 through 3 very loudly, and just let them know that you're doing research.
Just, you know what? You put it on a big screen on your front lawn, and you just stand there making eye contact with them the entire time.
Don't even watch the movie the whole time.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back, Jim. I'm thinking I am. All right, so who are your standouts? Besides John Wick, I think that's the obvious one, and everybody's going to mention that one because it's the most popular right now. But who are your standouts, and what is it about them that attracts you?
Wanted, I think, is a good one, because you don't just get, and I'll say it sort of fits into this and it sort of doesn't, because your primary is obviously Angelina Jolie as the main assassin, but there's like a group of them, and you get to see glimpses of their assassin Peppermint-esque qualities. And I personally am always going to be drawn to a female assassin. Just like Ava is another great one with female assassin with Jessica Chastain.
You really like that one? I tried to watch it. I couldn't get into it.
No, I liked it.
Okay.
I'm automatically going to have a little bit of benefit of the doubt to the film because it's going to have a female kicking ass. And that's a weakness for me for sure. But things like Crank, the Hitman, the Mechanic, those are all really, really fun ones that have a level of twist to it where...
Crank.
Yes, that movie is so much fun.
Alive? I love it. He's just jacked all the time. He falls out of a plane. He's fine.
They're all ridiculous in some way. Like you said earlier, they all have some level of like unbelievability because they're so extreme and ridiculous in how they get. But that kind of keeps us engaged because, I mean, I feel like it's the same thing with Fast and the Furious. I don't know what it is, but we love these things that are just fun and crazy and bombastic and just, you know, we're going to live vicariously in these films and do crazy things and drive crazy cars and like grab the coolest weapons or things on the shelf to kill people with. It's just always a lot of fun.
My first mention is The Bride and Kill Bill. I would say that's probably my favorite overall. And a lot of it has to do with, it's fantastic in terms of the level of carnage that is left in her wake is phenomenal. But a lot of it is that the plight works for me. You know, it's one of those, we're sure it's kind of taken off the whole cliche storyline in many respects about person left for dead and they come back for revenge and they kill everybody. But I just loved it. I just loved her plight. I just loved her maternal instincts as the movie kicks into the second movie and whatnot. And it's just like her whole journey really worked for me. And every time she fought, she looked like she was fighting for her life. And I think that's one thing that gets lost in a lot of these movies, where it doesn't look like they're fighting for their lives. It just looks like it's second nature to them. Like it's not really a fight. The Bride was fighting in every scene. And I felt it. You know, I felt it. And loved it because of that.
Also,
yeah, that one's a really good one.
Katanas.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with katanas. And Tarantino, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So it's a bloody, gory mess, and yeah, she was fantastic.
And I love how they ended those movies when everybody thought it was going to be like this big brawl, and she's like, "Nope, just 5 little done," and walks out. I loved it. I loved that. What about anything from you, John, before we keep rolling, I guess?
No, I got a couple of them I thought about. But one of the ones I like a lot is Faster with Dwayne Johnson or The Rock, however you want to address him. Have you guys ever seen that one?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. I really love the aspect of this one because, well, number one, The Rock only has like 3 or 4 lines. And he spends the rest of the time just showing up someplace, walking in, shooting somebody, and then he leaves. Which I think is pretty great because there's no body count that's beyond the people he's going after. It's not flashy. It's just pretty intense in the way that it's going after a certain person and then moving on to the next person. And I just love the idea of how this plays out, and just the Rock's intensity in every single scene is something that sucks you into it.
He does have that magnetism, man. He's just, when he wants to, he can just turn it on a dime. Absolutely.
It's just fun to see him do that. And he doesn't do any of the quips or one-liners that he does in other movies. It's just him being intense. And then that when that assassin starts chasing after him, it starts becoming a little bit of a different movie, but all in all, it's just a fun actioner that I really dig.
Any other ones from you, Amanda?
I kind of ran through my list pretty quickly just to give some glimpses into the type of stuff that I like. And I feel like The Punisher, obviously, we have to mention, and he obviously counts because he's out for revenge and he's an assassin in his own way and brutally murders people in the name of his family. And I love that story, but I also just love how cool that character is.
It's pretty badass. A lot of people just don't give Tom Jane credit. He was a really good Punisher. I really dug Tom Jane as Punisher in the movie.
As far as the movie's concerned, he's probably my favorite Punisher.
Well, he's definitely better than Dolph Lundgren was. Jesus Christ, that black hair dye.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. Was it running down the side of his face?
Yeah. It was. He was giving a press conference and it just... Yeah. Well, I mean, I already mentioned Taken. I think that's a pretty obvious one. Liam Neeson kind of created his own genre with that one, which was crazy.
The old man kicking ass one?
Yeah. Well, the Liam Neeson genre. Like, Liam Neeson movie, it's another Taken movie. I mean, there really were probably, 10 movies over the course of 8 years that were all the same thing. They just started Liam Neeson. Or variances of the same thing.
Him fighting wolves, him fighting this, him fighting that. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, let me run through my personal favorites. So The Raid, if you haven't seen that, it's a great film. You really should find it. They'll do an American remake. I know they're working on it, but the original is tough to beat. The Wolverine, I think counts. I mean, he kills a lot of people, especially if you watch the right version. There's blood everywhere.
That's fair.
Blind Fury, I'm a big fan of Blind Fury. Rutger Hauer as basically Daredevil. He's blind, got a katana, kills a lot of people. Big fan. A couple of smaller ones that people don't probably remember, or maybe don't know, but Hitman with Timothy Olyphant. I love Hitman. I've seen that 1,000 times.
Yes.
Which is just shameful. The Big Hit, big fan of The Big Hit.
Ooh, yeah.
Mark Wahlberg and a late movie rental is very important to the plot. It's just
I've been straight jacking.
It's kind of crazy. And it's kind of fun when Spencer Confidential came out and Bokeem Woodbine is in that one too. So that was kind of fun. Reteaming with Mark Wahlberg. The Transporter, I think, is just Jason Statham at his best, his absolute best.
Yes.
And just destroys the world. And then there's two that I want to mention that are very special to my heart for different reasons. And they're from the 80s. One is a Chuck Norris movie called Eye for an Eye. And it's basically, he's about a cop whose wife gets killed, his wife or girlfriend, I can't remember which one it was, but then he goes on a crusade to kill pretty much everyone. And people forget, Chuck Norris was a badass for a long time before he became, the joke.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Before he became roundhouse kick to the face guy. But man, he was a badass. And that movie was just, I love that movie as a kid. I watched it probably 1,000 times on HBO at night when my mom would go to bed, when we would siphon HBO from other people. And it was just a thing to behold because we couldn't afford it. And then the other one is Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Where he's like, you told me if I told you I'd be the last. He was like, I lied. I just love that movie. I just love that he kills pretty much everyone that he comes in contact. Same concept. Somebody took his daughter and it's like, no, don't do that. That was a bad call. And he makes sure to make them pay for it. Very cheesy.
You just can't mess with family. What don't people understand? You will get murdered.
You don't mess with a man's car. You don't mess with a man's family. You don't mess with a man's dog. How do people not get this?
A person. Let's go person, because of Peppermint, and you got Ava. It's Kill Bill. It's broken out. It's not just a man anymore. But I will say, I think this is fascinating that people would take Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter. Like, just looking at him would make me say no. No, I'm going to let him go. I'm not even we're going to find someone else because he looks like he could probably kill everyone, including Bennett, which he does. So, I mean, it's an amazing thing that people always take the children of well-renowned assassins or military figures or people that have killed en masse. I always find that fascinating.
Is there a reason why Bennett wore the fishnet like that?
Because it was the 80s, and he probably thought it was a good look. He was wrong.
He was wrong. Why did everyone in the 80s think that fishnet was a good idea?
Somebody told him it looked good, but they lied. See that?
But they lied.
I tied it all together.
Yeah, I see what you. So the movies that I can think of that I came up with after Faster. So I have The Equalizer, which I absolutely adore because Denzel Washington's in it. But at the same time, it's another one of these great and controlled fight kind of ideas, as opposed to just killing everything in front of you. It's planning everything to an nth degree, where you absolutely know exactly how to win a situation. And I think it's fun in the idea of, like, if we're gonna sit there and have these sorts of fantasies, let's do it with a little bit of responsibility, And
at a Home Depot, nonetheless.
Exactly. Don't mess with a man in a Home Depot. They know how to hurt you with everything in plumbing and everything in hardware.
Don't mess with a man's family, his car, his dog, his Home Depot. It all fits.
Person.
Also,
Remember,
but
person.
Sorry,
person.
Person.
just keep in mind how many things you can die from in a Home Depot. Like,
a lot more than I thought after I watched that movie. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Careful stepping in the nail aisle.
No kidding. Beyond that, I have a movie called Blue Ruin. So the reason why I like Blue Ruin so much is that this is one of those that it takes an everyman, an actual everyman, and then puts him in one of these sorts of situations where they go around exacting revenge. But he's an actual everyman. He doesn't know what he's doing. He barely knows how to use a gun. He's constantly getting himself into trouble with these situations. So it feels very real, even though it's, again, one of these fantasy ideas.
I still don't know if I think Blue Ruin counts, but it's your list, and I'm just going to say okay.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
And my last two I'm going to bring up jointly because they're both Steven Soderbergh movies. One of them's Haywire, which with Gina Carano. I love Haywire. I think that movie is phenomenal. I think the action in it is great. I love the idea that she only has 3 lines and it works.
And we understand now why.
Yeah, I understand now. And the other one is The Limey, which stars Terrence Stamp. You guys remember who Terrence Stamp is, right? General Zod from the Superman movie. Yeah. It's a little bit of a slower one, but again, same idea where somebody goes out and exacts revenge for their daughter. And I just really love that movie, and I love Terrence Stamp pulling that role off.
I've never seen that one.
It's slow.
Like, too slow for me.
I just think it's slow in general. I mean, I don't know. Too slow. It's just slow. It's not Forrest Gump slow.
It's not two tapes in the VCR slow.
Yeah. Wait, what? Okay. I think I get it. But I probably don't. Yeah, but I mean, it's
a Titanic reference. When you got the VHSs for Titanic,
I picked it up.
2 tapes.
Yeah.
I picked it up.
I didn't get it then. I did not.
Yeah, they separated at a very not perfect time, the 2 tapes.
And I think we should also mention, and we talked about Death Wish earlier, the Charles Bronson Death Wish, not whatever Bruce Willis did. That one didn't count. That was awful.
That one didn't count?
Nope. Doesn't even count. Awful movie. All right, so here, you want to hear what the listeners thought for their top 10 Lone Wolf favorite assassins, who they are?
Yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Right. So a couple of them we haven't mentioned because they're going to come up here. So here you go. Number 10, the Jackal. That is Bruce Willis, and I was kind of surprised by that.
Huh.
And I think that's more...
Does that one count?
No, I don't think it counts in terms of what we're talking about, but it's an assassin.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it fits because it's following the guy who's trying to investigate the whole thing, not the actual killer.
I mean, to me, well, if we're just going to talk about assassins, then I'd be throwing Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas in this bad boy because that movie is fun if you've ever seen Assassins. But we're not. We're talking about other stuff. But anyway, number 9, Commando. Number 8, Long Kiss Goodnight. I forgot Gina Davis kicks ass in that movie.
Yeah, she does.
I love when Sam Jackson realizes she's so much of a bigger badass than he thought.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love the whole, like, when she goes to pull the bandage off of him and she flashes him real quick to distract him and then yanks it off.
Mm-hmm.
What was that for? Distraction.
The next one, Grosse Point Blank with John Cusack. It's a good movie.
Love that movie. That movie is so much fun to watch, and it's one of those where he doesn't want to be in those situations, but he ends up being a badass and living through them anyways.
Yeah, very much so. It was like an accidental badass.
Yeah.
La Femme Nikita, which is, I assume, the French one, not Bridget Fonda, because, come on.
Bridget Fonda is not called La Femme Nikita.
Well, it's the same movie. Point of No Return or whatever, but it's the same. I'm just saying. That's the remake. Taken, Kill Bill, the Bourne films. Absolutely. Matt Damon was fantastic.
So
in those
fun.
Films. Yeah, absolutely. Now here's one we haven't talked about, and I think we probably should, but Leon, the Professional. He's a lot more methodical, I would say, and a lot more of just a regular hitman until things go south. I think the more manic performance is obviously Gary Oldman.
Clearly.
Everyone. Yeah. That whole thing. But that's a great film. Great film. And then number 1, gee, can you guess?
John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick. Shocker.
It's because he's the best.
I can't imagine why.
He's the best.
That's because everyone loves dogs. That's what it is.
I think that's a factor. I really do.
Or it's Keanu Reeves. Everybody loves Keanu Reeves.
Everybody does love
Not
Keanu
everybody
Reeves.
loves dogs, but everybody loves Keanu.
Well, how can you not? The guy is just super sweet. Beautiful,
sweet man. Yeah.
You guys act like you know him. All right. But he is.
I feel like I do.
I feel like I want to. He's so soulful.
What?
See, he's so soulful. And he even makes that beard work, even though it's never really a complete beard. It's always so patchy, and it still works for him.
Don't judge Keanu.
I'm saying that works. That's fantastic. I will come
after you.
I can't grow anything. I admire what he can grow. I'm just saying it's never really a full beard. It's very patchy. Look at it. There's spots. I'm like, fill them in. Come on. Don't you have a guy that can do this?
Why does he always look so raggedy? Jeez.
Yeah, it's not. You don't always have to be a homeless actor. Okay, now, upcoming releases. What's coming out?
All right, so up first, the only movie that actually matters is Godzilla vs. Kong. In the epic next chapter of the cinematic monsterverse, pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history against one another. The fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. This is directed by Adam Wingard and stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, and Rebecca Hall. Yeah!
What is the voice you are using?
I have no idea.
But I love the enthusiasm.
I have no idea where it came from. I don't know what's going on. It just happened.
I admire it. I respect it. I do want to say, if this is going to theaters and HBO Max, by the way, on March 31st. Mm-hmm. If you're watching on HBO Max, if it's for health reasons or because you're concerned about your health, good on you. I understand. I totally respect your decision. If you're staying at home because you're lazy and you don't want to see Godzilla versus Kong and you feel perfectly safe and you don't want to see Godzilla versus Kong on a movie screen, I'm just very disappointed in you. I think you could do better. That's all.
See, I'm going Friday to get my first shot for the vaccine, and then I'm going straight to the movie theater. I'm going to be high. It's going to be great.
You're going to have 5G. Woo!
Woo! 5G.
Well, coming out on the same day, March 31st.
That's how they pirate movies now. You got the vaccine 5G.
Witness Infection is coming to VOD. Sometimes the past comes back to bite you. Two rival mob families are transferred from the Witness Protection Agency by mistake to the same city in California.
Any recent film or TV recommendations not previously discussed? Well, before we get to what everybody has, if they have anything, let's discuss The Falcon and the Winter Soldier real quick. I haven't had a chance to really talk about it. Several episodes have dropped right now. What do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Where are you at with this Disney Plus show?
I have seen the first 2 episodes. I am sometimes invested. I also feel like it's kind of just Marvel churn, if that makes sense. It's just them spitting something out. I will say I'm much more invested in the story and the scenes when Bucky's on than, not to say that I don't care about there being a new Captain America and all of that, but I don't know. I just don't feel so invested in this show.
The first episode was a little bit of moving pieces around, trying to set up everything, and I understood that. It was okay. The second episode was a lot of fun, and I was really into it, and I'm excited now that you see Bucky and Sam together, and that's the whole thing that makes this show work, is Bucky and Sam together, and if they try to separate them again, I don't know how it's going to work from that point on, but yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, I had a real problem with how they started the show, because the first episode, and of course, because it's Marvel, everybody on the internet is like, it's the best show ever. I'm like, no, it's not. It's really just okay. And I like both actors, so it's not like an actor issue. And together, I thought I couldn't wait for them to get together. But I didn't know I'd be waiting till episode 2. I just thought that was ridiculous. There's one action scene in the first episode, and then the rest of it was just okay. Like, the rest of it was just fine. I like Captain Marvel better than that first episode, and I did not like Captain Marvel that much. It was okay. And then the second episode, they finally got to do some buddy stuff, and that was a lot of fun. I do think they play well off each other. I do think they need to hurry up and get the plot moving, because so far I think it's I'm kind of tired of Wyatt Russell getting just as much screen time as our guys.
Yeah.
It's not working for me as much as I think Disney thinks it's working.
That's pretty fair.
All right.
Well,
Amanda?
I want to recommend The Last Blockbuster. If you have not seen it, it's coincidentally...
Where can you watch that?
Which is on Netflix.
Yeah, it's coincidentally on Netflix. Now, they do give you some good insight as to like what actually happened, and Netflix isn't the full demise of Blockbuster, but it's really focusing on the last one that's still standing in Oregon. And oh my God, I really want to take a trip out there just to go to Blockbuster. I know that seems crazy, but I really, really do. Like, I had so many nostalgic feels just watching this documentary, and I just really want to go back. And they have a lot of great guests who guest into the documentary for interviews. Like Kevin Smith is in there for John, if that incites you a little bit more. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good time, especially if you were alive in the 90s and 2000s and fan of movies. You should probably watch it.
John, you got anything?
No, I don't.
Me either. How about a weekly streaming recommendation? This is where once a week, one of our hosts recommends something to watch on a streaming service. Amanda, it's your turn.
So the one I want to recommend to you to watch, and I really, really hope people take advantage of this, is watching Seaspiracy on Netflix. There's a lot of information that's recycled for me, at least, because I've watched and kept up on documentaries that occurred like 10 years ago on whales and dolphins and the Cove and them being slaughtered and all that stuff. But it's starting to go a little bit deeper dive into the ocean and what mankind is doing to basically destroy the ocean, even though that's the source of a majority of our oxygen. But also it starts to investigate the fishing and a lot of different things that relate to sea life. So if you're one of those people that likes to watch a documentary and kind of get blown away, and not in always in a great way, but also just have your eyes opened, this is a good documentary to check out.
I just watched it, and it's brutal. It's just, I mean, it starts as like this documentary on plastics in the ocean, and then it goes into these sordid details about the fishing industry and some really scary facts about, like you said, the end of ocean life as we know it. And then like a fish mafia. There's like a fish mafia involved. And I'm just, it's insane to me. A lot of the stuff in there, you got to watch it and then realize maybe I don't need fish anymore.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
cows.
It's kind of scary when you realize the investment that other people have in safeguarding these secrets.
Oh, man. Oh, some cruel. Not just the pretty animals. That's the one thing I think is important to mention about it. It's not just about, oh, you don't like dolphins are pretty, so you just don't want them to get like it. It actually goes into pretty good detail about what it means, what is happening to fish across the world, and how
the impact to humanity.
Yeah, the impact to humanity, what it actually is going to mean, which is a bigger crisis than plastic, which is insane.
Does it make you want to go? One of the things the director did is he brings his own silverware, reusable silverware to places and straws. Does it make you want to do that?
Usually, well, no, because it's pointed out very clearly that it's more the fishing industry that's a problem than the plastic. Plastic is a problem, don't get me wrong, but it's really the fishing industry. But I usually have metal wherever I'm eating anyway. It's not like they're giving me plastic spoons unless you're eating at McDonald's. Not that I'm knocking McDonald's. McDonald's is fine.
What do they need spoons for?
At McDonald's?
Yeah.
What do you need a spoon for when a spork can do both jobs?
I love spork.
Honestly,
that was the best invention ever.
Sporks are amazing.
They are. It's so many purposes. You could get a splinter out. You could eat soup. You could stab someone in the lunch line.
You could turn into your own assassin with the spork.
Exactly. You could spork someone to death. You could share your thoughts on this episode or anything else in our Facebook group, on Twitter, @BuyPopcorn. Our site is thehollywoodoutsider.com. You can also email us, feedback@thehollywoodoutsider.com, if you want to write an email and tell us how you didn't like something we did. You can also rate us and subscribe on your preferred podcast app, which is greatly appreciated. You can find John's artwork on Insta and Twitter @RJohnDraws, Amanda and Veronica's Marshmallows and Smirk, and @SinkIntoThis, and me and the Blacklist Exposed and Presenting Hitchcock, and @Aaron Smirks. Now, as we head out, our Teachable Minute, which is where I'm going to talk about something that I learned in film or television real quick in less than a minute. I learned this, very important, since we're talking about HBO Max and how you don't want to leave your couch to watch Godzilla vs. Kong. You probably should. They don't have HBO Max on LG TVs because of their operating system. Because HBO Max hasn't made an app for it. That's right. And it has nothing to do with anything LG's doing wrong. It's just HBO Max doesn't want to do it because their OS is patented or trademarked and all that jive. And they're the only TVs that use it. And apparently HBO Max is like, we don't need your TVs. Figure it out. And so they leave the consumer to figure it out. It's not bad enough. You bitches aren't going to restore the Snyderverse. You can't make an app for LG. Stop being bitches Max and get on that. That's all I'm asking.
HBO.
No, bitches Max. Get it?
Oh, stop being bitches Max. I get it.
I don't even know why.
You just ruined the joke.
You did. You just took the joke, wiped your ass with it, and threw it back at me like it was my fault.
Okay, that's a little extreme.
Well, I thought you were saying stop being bitches, Max, but you were saying
John is using punctuation in his brain now. I just want to emphasize what the Hollywood Outsider has done to impact his life.
Right. So that's what I heard. I thought you were saying. I thought. See, yeah.
We got it. You know what? It's time to head out. Remember, the next time you head to a theater. I feel like I'm peer pressuring people. If you really don't feel sick, enjoy the movie however you want to enjoy it. I'm just ribbing you is the old term. But the next time you head to a theater or sit comfortably on your couch waiting for one to open to watch Godzilla vs. Kong, buy popcorn. My name is Aaron Peterson. Joining me today, my fellow
You should start that over. That was bad.
I should do that whole. I mean, there's like a whole bunch of words at once. Bitches Max, John. Bitches Max.
Yeah, I thought it was bitches / or comma Max.
Why would there be a comma?
Like you were
Stop
being
bitches.
Saying,
wait. Max? Why wouldn't I do the whole HBO Max?
Like you were addressing them as a person. So like maybe you thought their last name was Max and not their full like